So one of the items that we got was a Roland E20 synthesizer. One of the keys was sticking right up, and two other keys weren't working properly. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull it all apart, we're going to clean it, and we're going to put it all back together. And fingers crossed, it works. Let's see how we go. I just hope I can get all these back in now. Snapped off piece, which would be why that key was sticking up, so we'll have to glue that back on. Okay, so I need to clean all these contacts with isopropyl alcohol, but I don't have isopropyl alcohol on hand because I didn't expect to be pulling a keyboard apart today. So we're just going to use some white vinegar, which I'm told is a suitable substitute for this sort of thing. Just get on with that process. I'm getting a little bit of dirt off there actually. Now most of these keys worked. There was two black keys that didn't work, and then of course the one that was stuck pointing up, which was that little piece is snapped off and it just goes in there. So once I've got all these pieces cleaned up, we'll glue that back on, and hopefully we'll have a 100% working Roland E20 keyboard. People might be cringing that I'm using white vinegar for this, but I really want to get this fixed so we can move it on and get on to the next project. Okay, so that should be a lot better. Then we have to do the same to these. It's going to be a little more difficult. So let's set that aside. And see what we can do with these. Each little contact in there needs to be cleaned. There's no point having a dirty contact on a clean contact. That's all those cleaned up. None of them looked particularly bad, but they're all they've had a clean now. Next thing is to glue this little broken piece back on. In that position. Okay, let's get some super glue and give it a crack. Alright, so I've just turned the house upside down looking for super glue, and I finally found some. So I'm going to pop that there, and then piece just to go on. There, we're going to put a little spot, oops, a little spot on there. It always comes out more than you need to. Lucky I put the paper towel down. But it's not super glue if you don't stick your finger to it, is it? Let's try again. I have never come across a plastic that won't hold with super glue. Sticking to my finger easy enough. It does say super glue. It's kind of there. Let's see how that goes. Okay, so my super glue finally went off. I think it was just old super glue and just a generic brand. So anyway, it seems to have gone off. I reckon that'll do the trick. So we'll pop this little piezo back on, and then we will try to put these back on. It's going to be slightly tricky because they've got these little legs that have to go into tiny little holes. We might use. We'll go along and we'll pop all these back in. It's pretty bad when you get your glasses on and you still can't see. Now the next thing to do is to clean all the dust off these. So I'll go away and do that, and once that's done we'll come back and we'll refit everything. So I've gone through and given all the keys just a quick dust. We don't need them perfect, we just need it clean enough to put back in and see if it works. My super glued piece seems to be holding, so now the next step is to put it back together and fingers crossed that it works. So I'll go through and put all these springs back in, which is going to be a task. We'll see how we go. Obviously we have to put black ones in first, apparently. That's wrong. What keyboard has 4 black ones in a row? Now this one was the one that was stuck up like this all the time before. because of the broken piece. So that's been glued back on, so I'm hoping that's going to be okay now. Seems good. Now also, this key wasn't working before and that key wasn't working before. So fingers crossed, once we get this back together, they will be working. All the other keys played a sound, but those two did not. Alright, let's go get the rest of the unit over here and we'll put it back together and we'll test it to see if it's working. Okay, so to put this back in, first of all we want to give it a bit of a dust out. I don't want to go too silly on it, but we just want to get rid of the most of the dust.
Dust is falling everywhere.
Yep. I'll get the vacuum out later.
Yeah.
All these ribbony cables look okay. There's a little bit bent there. That seems to be okay. So let's get the keyboard itself ready to go back in. Now there's two little ribbon connectors here. One goes in there, like that, and one goes in there too. They're all labelled. That's F2, and that one's an F1, but they'll only fit in the right ones anyway. Okay. Let's get the right screws. So I'm tempted to test this now, but I'm pretty confident that it's going to be working, so we'll test it once it's all together. Alright, so the other issue that this keyboard has is it says check internal battery, which is this little battery here. Okay, there it is there. So this is a little CR22. We don't have one of those at the moment, but I will get one and then fit that later. I've just popped that out too, so that's fine. Let's put this back together. And before we screw it down, let's plug it in and see if it all works. Alright, so it's plugged in. Click the main power button. Got all the lights up. Check internal battery still, but that's because we've taken it out, but that's okay. Let's see what we've got. And they all work. Awesome. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now, the only other things that we could fix up on this if we wanted to, and I'll have a look and see whether it's worth doing or not, is these sliders, they all work, but their little buttons are missing. They're just the stalks, their little buttons are missing. And the modulation, whilst it still works, the little knob part has broken off it. I'll look at what those parts are worth or how easy they are to get. But what have we done? We've got volume down. So that definitely still works. So all in all, that's a successful repair and I'm very happy with that. See ya.